Good afternoon, everyone. This is Daksha from the Department of Fashion Design under the Faculty of Education Methodology. In the previous lecture, we studied about the classification of finishes in which we cover the routine finishes, and in this lecture, we cover the next finishes, which is special finishes, and which have two types: aesthetic finishes and special finishes. So first of all, we revise what are the finishes. The main function of finishes is to alter the overall appearance of the fabric, to change the characteristics and quality of the fabric. In the special finishes, there are two categories: aesthetic finishes and functional finishes. In aesthetic finishes, there are special calendering, screening, moiring, embossing, napping, softening, beetling, optical brightening, brushing, shearing, heat setting, cooling and milling, antibacterial. And in functional finishes, there are abrasion resistant, absorbent, durable press, flame retardant, water repellent, and waterproof finishes, stain and soil resistant, shrink resistant, soil release, ultraviolet protection, moth proof, anti-static, and anti-slip. So firstly, we are going to cover our aesthetic finishes. In the aesthetic finishes, first of all, special calendering finishes. Special calendering finishes, it involves smoothing of the fiber, smoothing of the fabric. Permanence or durability of appearance depend on several factors. If fiber are thermoplastic, the calendering can actually soften them and impart a permanent design effect. If a resin is applied to the fabric, a durable calendar design can be produced, and if pressure alone is used on non-thermoplastic fiber, the design will probably be lost during the first loading. जो मेन फंक्शन जो होता है हमारा कैलेंडर का एक स्मूथ सरफेस प्रोड्यूस करना, एक लस्टर फैब्रिक में इम्पार्ट करना. This is the main function of special calendar finishes. Then next is the screening. It is also a type of special calendar in which the metal roll has a series of fine lines about 250 to 300 per inch engraved so that they form an angle of roughly 20 degrees. So the construction of the cloth that are parallel to the twist in the yarn. The finish produces a very soft luster and is used frequently on the cellulosic fibers such as cotton and linen. The screening finishes is mostly used on the cellulosic fiber, not mostly used on the protein fiber. In addition, the rolls flatten the yarns and create a smooth and compact fabric. It is also screening is a type of a special calendering finishes, but screening is used on the only on cellulosic fibers. The next one is the moiring. The main function of moiring finishes is to produce a watery effect on the surface of the fabric. It is a finishes process that produces a waved or watered effect on a textile fabric. A moire finish is characterized by a soft luster and a design created by difference in light reflection. Two rollers are involved, a large one covered with the cloth and a smaller one which is heated and often include an engraved design. The ribbed fabric is double and fed between the two rollers. These rollers exert pressure and add heat. So the main function is to produce a water effect on the surface of the fabric. And the next one is the embossing. Embossing finish is to produce a three-dimensional structure on the face of the fabric. Before the introduction of resin finishes, embossing lacked durability, but now resins aid in making embossed patterns relatively permanent. For best result, the base fabric used to embossing should be compact weave with a balanced structure. Napping. Napping is produce a fiber, pull the fiber ends to the surface of the fabric to produce a fuzzy surface to the end of the surface of the fabric. Napping is applied on cotton, rayon, wool, and any other staple fiber yarns to produce a deep nap. The process utilizes cylinders on which there are fine metal wires with small hooks. इस cylinders में small hooks लगे होते हैं जो fabric between the cylinders से pass होते हैं. Small hooks क्या है? जो fiber जो हमारा फैब्रिक है उसके सरफेस से कुछ स्मॉल अमाउंट में फाइबर्स को पुल आउट कर लेते हैं, तो एक क्या नेप्ड फैब्रिक का जो हमारे पास फाइबर है वो क्रिएट हो जाता है. एंड फैब्रिक विद नेप्ड सरफेस इंक्लूड फ्लैनल्स, ब्लैंकेट्स, सम कोट एंड सूटिंग क्लोथ. दीज आर सम एग्जांपल ऑफ नेपिंग फैब्रिक. The next one is the softening finishes. As the name shows, it is used to produce a soft texture of the fabric. It improves the hand and drape of a fabric. They may add body facilitate applications to other finishes, subdue the coarseness imparted during processing, and increase the life and utility of the fabric. Next one is the beetling. In the beetling process, the main function is to beat in this process, the fabric is beat and to produce a lustrous fabric. It is a mechanical process in which applied on the cotton or linen fabric. It is basically applied on cotton and linen fabric. It increases the luster of a fabric by flattening the yarn to provide more area for light reflection. The fabric is fed over roller that rotate in a machine where large hammers rise and fall on the surface of the fabric. एक particular fabric को rollers के ऊपर lay down किया जाता है, उसके बाद में उसको large hammers की help से उसको क्या beat किया जाता है. So it helps to improve the luster of that particular fabric. Next one is, these are our aesthetic finishes, and now we starting our special finishes which have some special property on the fabric, and these are made on special demand. Like first one is abrasion resistant finishes. Some fabrics have a resistant to abrasion. So for this abrasion resistant finishes applied to the fabric. Natural fiber and man-made fibers may be damaged by rubbing. To reduce this type of fabric damage, manufacturers can blend fiber of high abrasion resistant with those of low resistant, or they can apply the soft thermoplastic resins which appear to increase the fabric resistance to abrasion damage. Next one is the absorbent finishes. This finish is applied on the fabric to increase the absorbency power of the particular fabric. So the particular fabric can hold the moisture for a longer period of time and thereby accelerate the drying action of the textile produce. Fabrics treated with these finishes can absorb more moisture than they normally would, but the fabrics will take longer to dry either in the air or dryer owing to the increased amount of moisture absorbed. So absorbent finishes are mostly applied on a hosiery, sportswear, sleepwear, towels, infant care, adult care products, and diapers. Mostly these kind of finishes are applied. Next one is the durable press finishes. Durable press refers to the ability of fabric to retain an attractive appearance during wear and return of its original स्मूथ नेचुरल एंड शेप आफ्टर लॉन्ड्रिंग. तो मोस्टली जो नेचुरल फाइबर्स होते हैं उनसे फैब्रिक जो प्रोड्यूस करते हैं उसमें क्या है कि बहुत जल्दी वो श्रिंक हो जाते हैं. तो फॉर दैट्स वाई टू इम्प्रूव दिस काइंड ऑफ अ प्रॉपर्टी, ड्यूरेबल प्रेस फिनिश इज अप्लाइड on that fabric to get rid of these kind of problem. Clothes that can be washed in machine and worn without any ironing have a great appeal for consumers. These characteristics can be imparted to fabrics by finishing process and by fiber choice. Next one is the flame retardant finishes. Fire is a significant cause to damage to human life and property, and to minimize these losses, textile fibers that are flammable are treated with the flame retardant chemicals. Flame retardant finishes reduce the flaming and afterglow of fiber and fabrics. Most fabric finishes that have a flame retardant still will burn in the direct path of flame. And a truly fireproof fabric will not burn even in the path of direct flame, but actually only asbestos and glass fiber have this properties. Flame retardant finishes, there are some fibers होते हैं like natural fibers we can say, जो बहुत easily क्या है कि flame की उनको बहुत जल्दी क्या है कि flame से वो इनिबिट अफेक्ट हो जाते हैं. तो उस प्रॉपर्टी को इम्प्रूव करने के लिए हमें फ्लेम रिटार्डेंट फिनिशेस उन फैब्रिक्स में इम्पार्ट करते हैं. Then next one is the water repellent and waterproof finishes. Waterproof finishes are those that coat or seal a fabric so that water does not pass through it. And such fabrics are impermeable or to air and thus are not comfortable in wearing apparel. Waterproof finishes में एक special type of coating की जाती है fabric के ऊपर में, so the water does not pass through that particular kind of a fabric, but and there is a problem, it is uncomfortable to the wearer. Water repellent finishes result in a fabric that resists wetting while retaining a porous characteristic that permits air circulation. There are a little bit difference between waterproof and water repellent finishes. Waterproof finishes, water cannot pass and as well as air cannot pass through the fabric. But in the water repellent finishes, there are some porous characteristics retaining in the particular fabric, so that it makes likely easy to wear. Stain and soil resistant finishes. These finishes helps to maintain a clean look of a textile product like clothes, carpets, and upholstery. Chemicals such as fluorocarbons are used to coat the fabric surface. Thus, a protective coating is formed which inhibit penetration to stain and soil. Soil and stain resistant finishes are apply की जाती है fabric पे. जो भी इनके ऊपर by chance हमें dust लग रही है, कोई भी stain लग जाए तो easily fabric से वो remove हो जाता है. उसका stain permanent fabric में stain नहीं करता है. Shrink resistant finishes to improve the shrinkage ability of the fabric, mainly of the natural फाइबर से जो फैब्रिक हम डेवलप करते हैं उनमें श्रिंकेज एबिलिटी बहुत ज्यादा होती है। लाइक जब भी हम उनको वॉश करते हैं उनमें श्रिंक बहुत जल्दी वो हो जाता है। सो इसके लिए हम ड्यूरेबल फ्रेश फिनिशेस अप्लाई कर सकते हैं, एज वेल एज हम उनमें क्या कि श्रिंक रेजिस्टेंट फिनिशेस भी अप्लाई कर सकते हैं। Next one is the soil release finishes is likely same as the stain release finishes, in which the soil can easily ultraviolet protection finishes. It is also known as UV radiations finishes. As we know, the UV radiations are harmful for human skins, and long-term exposure to UV light can cause sunburns, skin cancer, etc., acne, etc. Hence, protection of skin against these has become relatively important. A sun protection finish is applied in the form of UV absorber stabilizers, which are organic or inorganic colorless compounds with a very strong absorptions. The ultraviolet protection factor of textiles depend on their construction, fiber type, color, swelling capacity of fibers, and the spaces between the fibers, the yarn. So basically, main of this finish is to protect our skin from the harmful rays which are produced by the sun, and which is also called the UV rays. And the next one is the moth-proof finishes. It is basically applied on the wool fabric that are our protein fibers are highly susceptible to moth. So the fabric which are made from the protein like wool. So this moth-proof finish is applied to that particular fabric. It is a chemical finish and can be given by using inorganic organic compounds which can be natural or synthetic origin. Alternatively, chemical could be used to alter the composition of wool, since wool sulfur containing amino acid is the means reason of attack by moths. So this would however affect other properties of wool also. Next one is the anti-static finishes. There are some fabric which produce the static charge buildup, and it is a problem in mostly in the synthetic fiber. So to get rid of this kind of problem, anti-static finishes is applied on that fabric to get rid from the static charge that is originated by the particular fabric. Next one is the anti-slip finishes to make the fabric slip less. Like yarn slippage is a problem that leads to fraying at the seams in the woven fabric. A low fabric count, unbalanced construction, and tight fitting garments can further aggravate this problem. This is also a problem faced by smooth filament as in rayon. To overcome this problem, anti-slip finishes are applied as the main effect is to increase the adhesion between fiber and yarn, regardless to fabric construction. So the anti-slip finishes are applied on the fabric to get rid of this slippage problem of the fiber and fabric. Next one is the antimicrobial finishes. Today's consumer demand for comfortable and hygiene clothing order is also an important consideration while making a purchase. That is why fabrics treated with antimicrobial finishes are much in demand. Antimicrobial finishes are also referred as bacteriostatic finishes, antiseptic finishes, in which the fabric are treated with antimicrobial properties. So the bacteria cannot grow on the particular fabric. Bacteria, fungi, mildew are not able to grow on the fabric, and the structure of the fabric not damaged, and unpleasant odor, spread of disease can also get rid from this kind of finishes. So these are the classification of finishes. In the previous lecture, we cover our routine finishes, and in this lecture, we will cover special. We will cover special finishes. Though there are two types of special finishes: aesthetic finishes and special finishes. And hope this kind of finishes helpful for you to understand that how many types of finishes are there, and